The People's Republic of China does not currently have a specific or unified law on personal data protection, and instead, organizations need to be aware that requirements in relation to the protection of personal information are spread across numerous guidelines, standards, specifications, and laws. There are also sector-specific requirements to consider, especially in relation to the financial, health and pharma, and telecommunications sectors. The most discussed pieces of recent legislation has been the Cybersecurity Law, which entered into effect in 2017. The law establishes obligations for network operators, including notice and consent requirements in respect of the collection and use of personal information. Network operators which collect personal information must also abide by principles of legality, proprietary, necessity, and purpose limitation. The law also provides data localization requirements for operators of critical information infrastructure that gather or produce personal information or important data during operations within the mainland territory of China. Additionally, the cybersecurity law specifies that where such information or data must be provided outside of mainland China, a security assessment should be conducted according to the measures jointly formulated by the national cyberspace authorities and relevant departments of the State Council. A number of technical and other necessary measures to ensure the security of personal information are also established for network operators and operators of critical information infrastructure under the cybersecurity law. Other key pieces of legislation include the Children's Personal Information Network Protection Regulations, the Cryptography Law, which entered into effect in January 2020, and the E-commerce Law, which regulates e-commerce operators and consumer personal information. In addition to the variety of laws in place, several of China's supervisory authorities issue guidelines and specifications. These include the Personal Information Specification, which, although non-binding, provides best practice standards and has been cited by Chinese courts. This specification was updated in October 2020 and details expectations around data breach notifications, data retention, data transfers, and data sharing. This patchwork approach may, however, soon change following the release of a draft Personal Information Protection Law by the National People's Congress of China, or NPC. If enacted, the draft law would introduce and centralize rules for the processing of personal and sensitive information, data subject rights, as well as establishing obligations for undertaking of risk assessments and restrictions on cross-border transfers. The draft law would also introduce GDPR-style fines, with potential penalties of up to approximately 6.4 million euros, or 5% of the responsible department's annual turnover. In addition, a draft data security law was also released by the NPC in June 2020. This draft law, if adopted, would introduce requirements for data security and classification management, risk assessments, and generally established data security requirements for activities conducted within mainland China. Together, these laws, and particularly the draft Personal Information Protection Law, are likely to ease the challenges of navigating privacy compliance in China, while also introducing several new obligations. To continue researching key compliance requirements in China, use jurisdiction dashboards to quickly access the latest regulatory developments and best practice from leading experts.